and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about Stray Kids' Backdoor, focusing on a little breakdown and analysis of the lyrics, the music video, and its connections to the storyline. Backdoor is a song that reflects on Stray Kids' growth and achievements that is meant to be seen as an invitation for the audience to go through the back door and join the party. Now, in the online Unveil Live, the boys actually explained that the message behind this back door is that everybody who knocks on their door is welcome and accepted no matter who they are or where they come from, and this message of unity and celebration is also conveyed in the video as well, where we see more and more people joining them every time the light comes back on. As we see in a second, these visuals can be seen both as a callback to their past videos and as a metaphor for Stays gradually joining them every time they come back with new music. But when it comes to the general themes and the storyline that is portrayed in the video, we can say that Backdoor is a direct sequel to the events that took place in God's Menu. Because if back in that video we saw them going through the back door, in both the backdoor opening video and the actual MV, we see what happens after this event and how this rite of passage affects their identity. You see, back in God's Menu, Stray Kids introduced us to their new self after the two moons united in the sky and they found themselves in a singular world. And this is important because this change also overlapped with them finally realizing their true potential and actually deciding to face the difficulties of life at their own pace and following their own style. This new reality is the result of their choice of walking a road not taken and the culmination of their journey up to this point. So if in Levanter they escaped the pressure and expectations of the dystopia they were trapped in, and in God's Menu they promised us to serve us anything we want by showing us what makes them unique, Backdoor actually keeps this promise by inviting us through the back door to take part in this revolution. Since they've realized their potential and freed their true selves, the next step is to challenge the singular world they live in and spread their message even further. And the concept of the video shows us this by portraying the boys in a museum switching the light on every time the guardian switches it off. Now, right off the bat, the location is important here because a museum is a place that is associated to art and tradition, so them taking control of this setting implies that they are challenging the traditional perception of art with their unique style of music. As the choreography shows us with a reference to Michelangelo's creation of Adam, in this context they are both God and man, both creator and creation, both artist and art, and them embracing this duality symbolizes the awakening of their new identity and their intention to help others to achieve the very same goal. If you look closely, even if in the video the boys constantly turn the light on, in the lyrics they also tell us to turn it off and light up our eyes instead. And this is an interesting contrast, because if we apply the events of the video to the song, then the light that they turn on by pulling the lever can be seen as the metaphorical light inside of every one of us that they are awakening with their music. Now, the idea that the light symbolizes some kind of awakening here is also implied through the white hooded figures that appear and disappear every time they turn on the light. Because in the context of the storyline, these figures actually represent the generations of people who are stuck in the dystopian society that the boys themselves escaped from in Levanter. Back in the I Am Not trailer, for instance, we saw that much like these people, the boys themselves were part of this society and were indoctrinated to follow the same rules and the same path as anybody else. But then Bang Chan noticed a glitch in the system that made him realize that this reality was fake. And this awakening pushed him and the others to escape and follow a road not taken in order to reach a new world. Much like what we saw in the highlight reels and Levanter, however, the promise of this new world was a lie because the new world never existed. And even if this realization came with disappointment, the journey that led them to this discovery also made them understand that the real change comes from the individual. So the new reality that was introduced in God's Menu is not different because the world has changed, but because they changed because of their experiences. If in the I Am Not trailer, society used the education system to brainwash kids into making career choices that were socially acceptable, in Backdoor we still see schoolgirls, businessmen, chefs, and scientists. And even if there's nothing inherently wrong in focusing on school or following these careers if you want to, the presence of this gentleman right here recalls the politicians that we saw back in Miro, thus suggesting that this world is still the same corrupted society that is controlled by by politics and that only values jobs that are considered appropriate by the older generations. As I mentioned earlier, the world itself didn't change, but they did, and this is because they were brave enough to get out of the system and follow their own dream. Even if this dream was not the promised land that they expected it to be, their journey showed them that the promise they needed to keep was the one they made to themselves and to each other. So once they understood that, the different outcomes of their choices became one because now their path is clear and they know exactly who they are. Now, in both the video and the trailer that anticipated its release, this sense of awakening is also conveyed by the boys actually transcending reality and almost becoming supernatural beings. Because if in the backdoor opening video we see them actually getting superpowers, in the MV we see them jumping back and forth between time and space. Much like I mentioned earlier, them unlocking their true selves gave them abilities that in the past they could only dream of, but now they see their fantasy unfolding before their eyes. And this is because they didn't hesitate and their efforts were rewarded. If in the previous era their journey was focused on finding the right door to open in order to get to their promised land, now every door is the right door because the possibilities are endless and they know that they can achieve everything they want. As the lyrics say, last time was just a warm-up, but now we get to the real party. Now everything is perfect and it becomes more and more glamorous as time goes on. And they want you to join them in this victory because after so much suffering, they want to make it up to you and celebrate. As the video shows us, however, this achievement is not something that happened overnight, because if you look closely, the MV portrays a progression of events that reflects the journey that led them to this point. If at the beginning the boys stand surrounded by people who don't see them either because they don't care or because they're still trapped in the system, as the video goes on, more and more white figures start bopping their heads following the rhythm of their music, thus showing the gradual awakening of the people who listen to them and find solace in their art. This progression eventually culminates in the final sequence, where we see Bang Chan ringing the bell and the white figures finally acknowledging them and joining the party. These are all the people who are breaking out of the system and they chose to follow them through the back door. But even if for now this is a moment of victory, the boys' journey is not over yet. Because the video ends with the boys disappearing once again before the Guardian realizes that they're even there. These visuals here imply that even if the revolution has already begun, society doesn't know it yet, but you do. So if you want to join them, you can go through the back door and find them there. So that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye!